everyone, hope you're all doing good. Myself Tanuja, and the subject that we're discussing is biology. We were discussing a very important chapter of plus 2 biology, which was evolution. We've discussed a lot of topics in evolution already, and we've reached the evidences of evolution apparently. And in the evidences of evolution, we have already discussed paleontological evidences, embryological evidences, and the next evidence that we have to discuss is the morphological and anatomical evidence. So this is the part that we have to discuss next. So in paleontological evidences, I've already told you about fossils and how they have helped in proving evolution. And in embryological evidences, I've already told you about how embryos and the similarities that they show have helped us in proving or understanding evolution better. And in this section, we've learned about how morphology and anatomy is going to help us to understand evolution or prove evolution, or how is it being evidence for evolution. That's what we'll be looking at. Okay, so if I talk about morphological features are features that you can see with your naked eyes. Okay, so if you look at an animal, you can see the body of the animal, you can see its legs, its limbs in general, you can see its face, you can see its body, you can see its body color, you can see a lot of features, right, with your naked eyes, and that's called its morphology. Okay, and if you look at if you cut open it and if you look at the inside, there is a part, that's inside their body that you can't see with your naked eye, and that's known as anatomy. So you can't actually see the anatomy of an organism unless you cut out and open the organism, right? So that's morphology and anatomy. So if we look at morphological and anatomical features of various organisms, we can actually learn a lot about evolution. How is that? Let me show you. Actually, let me start the section with an example. Okay, in the case of whales, okay, or bats, or cheetah and humans. So all these four are mammals. Of course, whale is a mammal, bat is a mammal, cheetah is a mammal, and human is a mammal. So in the case of all these four animals, you can see similarities in the patterns of bones of forelimbs. Okay, so this, if you look at the forelimbs, if you look at a whale, you can obviously see its forelimb. If you look at a human, you can see my forelimbs right now. So these are forelimbs. Okay, so limbs are generally the common term for both legs and hands. Okay, so in the case of dogs, or in the case of cheetah over here, in the case of cheetah doesn't have, we don't usually say that cheetah has 2 hands and 2 legs, right? We say cheetah has 4 legs in general, right? So instead of using the term legs and hands, we generalize and we call it limbs. Okay, so the limbs that are in the front is known as the forelimbs, and the limbs that are at the back are known as the hind limb. Okay, so this is the forelimb for humans, this is the forelimb, and our legs are the hind limbs for us. Okay, so if we look at the structure of the forelimb, okay, the forelimb is something that we can see with a naked eye, fine. If we look at the bones, okay, of the forelimbs, if we cut open this skin, and if we look at the inside part, if we look at the bones of the forelimbs, we can see that in the case of whales, bats, cheetah and human, we are having a similar structure. I'll show you the structure. See, so this is your NCERT figure, the textbook, the figure in your NCERT textbooks. So what do you actually see over here? You can see a man, you can see a cheetah, you can see a whale, and you can see a bat. All are mammals, right? In the case of man, see, this is how the bone arrangement of man's hand is, or forelimb is, and this is cheetahs, this is whales, and this is bats. So if you look at this, you can observe that there are some kind of similarity, right? I'm not saying it's exactly the same, I'm not saying it is same, but I'm saying there's some kind of similarity, right? Of course there is a similarity. If you look, especially with the case of man and cheetah, right? If you look at these are almost exactly similar, right? And if you look at whale, it's an aquatic organism, so there will be differences, but still, the arrangement or the structure, the basic structure is similar. And if you look at bat, it's a organism that flies, but still, if you look at it, it's almost similar, right? It's a bit different. The arrangement, the orientation is a bit different, but still, the basic structure remains the same. So, what is the basic structure? How is the basic structure lie? I'll just show you. Because you will have to know this. So if we look at a hand, a forelimb of a human, this is how it would look. Okay, so it's basically like this, I guess. Yeah, it's like this. Anyways, the portion from our shoulder to our elbow, this is the humerus. Okay, it's the humerus portion. And then from our elbow, that's just one bone. From the shoulder to our elbow, we only have one bone, and that bone is known as the humerus bone. If you touch over here, if you touch your hand, come on, take your hand and touch it. Yeah, you can only see one bone, right? And that's the humerus. It's in the hand, so it's the humerus. In the leg, you call it femur. Okay, anyways, this is the humerus. And after that, from the elbow to the wrist portion, you have two bones. Actually, it's not a single bone here, but you have two bones. If you touch and see, yeah, you can actually see two bones. If you touch and see here, you can actually feel two bones if you actually look into it. So the two bones are radius and ulna. Okay, so radius and ulna are the two bones that you can see in this region. Okay, and then you have the third region, or this portion that you have, the hands, the palm portion. You can actually see carpals here. This bones that we have over here is known as the carpals. Okay, and now moving on, you have the metacarpals over here. This is the metacarpals, and then you have the phalanges, the fingers over here. You have the phalanges. The bone over there is known as the phalanges. Okay, so this is the basic structure of a forelimb of a human. This is almost a similar case with the cheetah and whales and bats. Okay, so this is known as divergent evolution. What is known as divergent evolution? It's a very important term that you have to study. It's a very important concept. Divergent evolution and homology. Okay, and then the next topic will be convergent evolution. Okay, so this is the first topic, which is the divergent evolution. What is divergent evolution? I'll make it clear for you. Okay, so as I already told you, the forelimbs of human, cheetah, bat and whales have different functions. Right. I mean, how do we use our forelimbs? We use it to eat, we use it to write, we use it to ride our car or bike or whatever, and we use it for various purposes. Right. But does the cheetah's forelimb have the same function as ours? Of course not. The cheetah uses its forelimbs to run, to catch its prey and stuff like that. Does the whale's forelimb has the same function as me and a human and a cheetah? Of course not. The whale has different function. Whale is an aquatic animal, so it needs to swim. Does the bat have the same function? Of course not. Bat uses it to fly. So we four of us have different functions. I mean, the same forelimb that we have has different function, but it has a similar structure. Am I right? I told you it has a similar structure, but its functions are varied. So such organs are called homologous organs, and this phenomenon is known as homology. Okay, what did I just say? These forelimbs perform different functions, okay, in animals, but they have similar anatomical structure. And if you look at the anatomy, they are almost the same. Okay, such organs are called homologous organs, and this phenomenon is known as homology. Okay, so what is known as divergent evolution then? I'll tell you. Okay, we've already discussed this topic. They have humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges. I've already showed you what that is. But the point is that the conclusion that we have to take from this particular topic is that all these animals have similar structure, but their function was different. Right, so that's how the evolution took place. Let me tell you in detail. These animals, the cheetah, man and human and whale, we had the similar structure, but our functions were different. So that's how it developed. Let me tell you. Okay, see, if I'm drawing A, B, C and D, we have four organisms with the same structure. So the structure is actually the same, but it developed along different directions because of our difference in the adaptation that we have to live in, the habit that we are living in. So in the case of cheetah and in the case of human, in the case of whale, in the case of bat, we are living in different situations. I mean, we don't have to run and catch prey. Do we have to do that? No, we don't have to do that. So we don't need that strong limbs, right? And in the case of a bat, right, the bat has to fly. That's the bat's need. And in the case of a whale, the whale has to swim. That's the whale's need. So we all of us have different needs, right? But we have the same structure. Okay, so actually we could say that we four, actually, as we have the same structure, we had a same ancestor. Okay, all four of us had a same ancestor, or all four of us had emerged from a single point. But later on, due to the differences that we had in our environment, we went in different directions. Okay, is that clear? I mean, four of us have a single ancestor. We had a single ancestor because we have similar structures. As we have similar structure of four limbs, we can say that we evolved from a single ancestor. So the evolution happened from a single point into different ways. Why did it go in different ways? It went in different ways because our needs were different. In the case of a human, we don't have to catch prey, but instead we have to do a lot of other things. In the case of a cheetah, it doesn't have to use laptop, or it doesn't have to write or anything like that, but it has to catch its prey. In the case of a bat, it does not have to write or catch prey, but instead it has to fly, right? So each one of us had different needs, different requirements, so different adaptations. So in order to adapt to different environment, we from a single point went to four different ways. Okay, we diverged into four different ways. Our structures are same, but we diverged into four new organisms because of our environmental differences, or because of our adaptations or habitat that we are living in, or because of our requirements. Okay, so we had a similar structure, so it was from the evolution happened from a single point to different ways. Okay, so this is diverging evolution. What is this? This is diverging evolution. So you from a single point you are diverging into different organisms because you have different needs. Okay, so the structure is same, but the evolution is happening in a divergent fashion. That is, it is diverging into different ways of life or forms of life, and hence we call it divergent evolution. Right, you're heading over there. Divergent evolution. So I hope now you understand what divergent evolution is and what homology is. Homology is actually an evidence for divergent evolution. For the evolution that took place from one single point into different ways. That's divergent evolution. And homologous organs are organs that have different functions but similar structure. Okay, the structure is same and the function is different. So I've already showed you the structure of our forelimb, right? So as I already told you, this is divergent evolution, and structures are homologous structures. And homologous always indicates common ancestry. As I already told you, if there are four organisms A, B, C and D, and we all have similar structures of forelimbs or whatever it is, if we have similar structures, then it indicates that we arise from a common ancestor. So this is known as homology. The similarity in the structure is known as homology, and it indicates common ancestry. Okay, it's a very important point. You should actually note it down in your notebook. Okay, if you look at other examples, I've already showed you the example of mammals. If you look at other examples, the other example is vertebrate hearts or brains of vertebrates. Okay, so if you look at the heart or even brain of vertebrates in general, we can see the same homology happening there as well. And if we look at the thorn and tendrils of bougainvillea and cucurbita, so cucurbita is a family of cucumber. Okay, it's a family of cucumber, and bougainvillea, of course, I hope you know bougainvillea. What bougainvillea is? It's a flower, right? So if you look at the family of if you look at bougainvillea and cucurbita, we can actually see that they also show homology. The thorns of bougainvillea, because bougainvillea has thorns, and cucurbita has tendrils, obviously. So the thorns of bougainvillea and the tendrils of cucurbita show homology. I'll show you how. I'll show you a picture. See, this is bougainvillea and it has thorns. Okay, this is cucurbita and it has tendrils. So the anatomical structure of both these tendrils and the thorn is actually the same. I'm not talking about morphology here, I'm talking about anatomical structure. So the anatomical structure of the thorn and the tendril is actually the same. But are they having the same function? No, they are having different functions. I mean, the function of thorn is protection, the function of tendril is to climb branches, right? Or climb on different host or whatever. So tendril has a different function, thorn has a different function, but they have similar structure. So this is homology, and this indicates that bougainvillea and cucurbita had a common ancestor. Okay, this is homology, and what they show is divergent evolution. Okay, so I hope it's clear. I hope it's clear what divergent evolution is and what homology is. You have to be very clear about this, because the next topic that I'm going to teach you is convergent evolution and analogy. So you shouldn't confuse between the two. You just learn one of them. Okay, I suggest you learn homology and divergent evolution. It always comes together for making it easy for you. Let's learn the code HD. You all know what HD, high resolution and all that. It's high definition. So it's HD. Okay, H stands for homology, D stands for divergent evolution. So homology is always seen in the case of divergent evolution. Okay, I hope that's clear. It was just a code for you guys to remember the concept. Actually, you don't need code if you understand the topic clearly, but just not to confuse it, I've already given you a code HD. Okay, now what is convergent evolution? I'll teach it with an example. Okay, if you look at the wings of a butterfly and if you look at the wings of a bird, okay, what do the wing of a butterfly do? What does butterfly use its wings for? For flying. What does a bird use its wings for? For flying. So both of these animals or both of these butterfly and birds use their wings for flying. So their function is same. But do they have the same structure? Of course not. This is the structure of an insect or a butterfly, and this is the structure of a bird wing. Okay, look at the bird wing. Is it anyhow similar to this? Of course not. This has a completely different structure, different pattern, but this is completely different. Okay, this has a lot of single wings, right? But this is not like that. It only has two wings, or it's only separated into two segments. Whatever it is, the structure is completely different, but the function is same. These kind of organs are known as analogous organs. What are they called? They are called analogous structures or analogous organs. Here they have similar the structure. Okay, the structure is completely different. See, anatomically it's not similar. The structure is completely different, but the functions are similar. It's just the opposite of homologous organ. So analogous organ are completely opposite of homologous organ. Okay, and this homology actually indicates that they had a convergent evolution. What do you mean by convergent evolution? Convergent evolution is nothing but a scenario where two organisms or two different structures, okay, the bird wing and the butterfly wing are two different structures, but because they had the similar function, they underwent evolution to a similar structure, similar function. Okay, similar function. So there were two different organisms or two different structures. See, if you look at here, the different structures evolve, okay, for the same function, and this is known as convergent evolution. So here different structures are evolving to a similar function, but in the case of divergent evolution that was not the case. So this is converging to a single point. Okay, if you have various structures over here and if all of them have similar structure, see, then this is converging to a single point. So that's why it's called convergent evolution. Divergent evolution was completely the opposite, right? So this is the example of convergent evolution and analogy. Okay, so I hope that's clear. And if we look at other examples other than wings of butterfly and bird, we have other examples as well. Other example of analogous organ are eye of octopus and of mammals. Of course, mammals use our eye to see. Octopus uses its eye to see, but the structure is very different. If you look at the structure of a human eye and if you look at the structure of an octopus eye, you can see it's completely different. I mean, this is the structure of a human eye, which you may have already seen, which you already know, and this is the structure of an octopus eye. It's completely different. The anatomy is completely different, but the function over here is same, and hence they are they're analogous organs, and it is formed as a result of convergent evolution. The other example is flippers of penguins and dolphin. I mean, of course you know penguins, you know dolphins. So the flippers they have the similar function, but the structure is completely different. I'll show you the image. See, if you look at here, you have the penguin and you have the dolphin. They both have flippers like this. See, they both have flippers like this, right? But they have different functions. I mean, they have a similar structure. Don't they look? I mean, they don't have a similar structure. They have the similar function. Okay, see, they have similar function. Function is similar. I mean, they both have this almost the same function, that they help, both the flippers help them to move, help them for motility. So they have a similar function, but do you think the structure is same? Of course not. The structure is completely different. The structure is different. So how can we say this is a what can we say? This is an analogous organ. Okay, the structure is completely different. Okay, so that's another example for analogous organ and convergent evolution. And if you look at plants, you have an example over here as well. Sweet potato and the normal potato that we have, okay, is having almost the same function. I mean, we eat it and the purpose is food storage. But in the case of sweet potato, it's a root modification, and in the case of the normal potato, it's a stem modification. So anatomically, they are completely different, because sweet potato is actually a root and the normal potato that we are having is actually a stem. So anatomically, they are completely different, but they have the same function, which is storage, food storage. Okay. So here is a normal potato and the sweet potato. This is a root and this is a stem. Okay, this is also an example for analogous organ. So I hope you understand. That's all about convergent evolution and analogy. Okay, I hope it's clear. The next topic that we have to learn is a yet another important topic. It can also be counted as a evidence for evolution, which is melanism. Industrial melanism. Okay, it's a very important and very interesting topic. I really love this topic because it's really interesting to explain, and it is at the same time really interesting to learn. Okay, so what is industrial melanism? That's the next question that we are having. This is basically a story. Okay, what is the story? In England, okay, before England was a very developed country, in England before industrialization actually took place, what we did was we took a collection of moths. Okay, moths, M-O-T-H-S. It's somewhat similar to a butterfly. Okay, so we took a collection of, not we, people, okay, the scientists, they took a collection of moths. Okay, where did they take it from? They took it from England. And when did they take it? They took it before industrialization. Okay, in the 1850s, before industry started developed, before industrialization, they took a collection of moths. That was in 1850. Okay, and they observed this collection, and when they observed this collection, what they noted was they were more white-winged moths on trees than dark-winged or melanized moths. So actually moths are of two types. Okay, usually moths are of two types. The first one is white-winged moths. Okay, they are white-winged, and then you have the dark-winged or melanized moths. Okay, these are the melanized moths. So these are the two types of moths that you have in general. Okay, so when we took a collection of these moths, what we observed was in 1850s, before fertilization, the white-winged moths were the majority, and brown-winged moths were not there. Okay, but later, okay, when we took a similar collection after industrialization from the same place, from England, in 1920, okay, we took a same collection of the same species of moth, and what we observed was there was more dark-winged moths than white-winged moths in the same particular area. That is, the ratio completely reversed. Okay, the proportion was completely reversed. So how did this happen? I mean, before the industry set in, the majority moths were white, and then after the industries, the moths were melanized, or it was dark-winged moths were the majority. How did that happen? How did the proportion get reversed? I'll tell you. Before industrialization, what actually the situation, I'll tell you the situation. Okay, let me not explain the slide. I'll just draw the things for you. Wait. I'll draw the things for you. Okay. That way it will be more easy for you to understand. I'll draw two tables over here. Okay. I'll draw two tables. So this is the 1850s table. 1850 section, where it's before industrialization, so I'll call it BI, before industrialization. Okay, and this is the next part, okay, which is the 1920s, right? Yeah, 1920s, where industrialization has set in. So this is after industrialization. So there are two conditions. So you are looking at a tree right now. So this is a tree bark. Okay, so you are looking at a tree. Before industrialization, what actually occurred was there were no industries at all. Okay, so there were no pollution, because if industries are there, of course they'll emit polluted gases and the environment will be polluted. But before industrialization, there is no pollution. So in this case, there is no pollution. Okay, I'm writing it at the top. In this case, there is no pollution. In this case, there is no pollution. And because there is no pollution, there are a lot of lichens on the tree. What did I just say? There are a lot of lichens on the tree. So lichens are symbiotic organisms, and the speciality of lichens are that they don't thrive in a polluted environment. They're only seen if the environment is clean and non-polluted. Okay, so this is a scenario where there is no pollution, and hence there are a lot of lichens. Lichens are present. Okay, and usually lichens are white in colored, or they are light colored. Okay, so you have a lot of lichens here. Okay, let me just draw that for you. You have a lot of lichens here. So these are the lichens that you're having. Okay, these are the lichens that you're having. on the tree. So this is a tree bark. The tree bark is supposed to be brown in color. So the rest portion is brown. The tree bark is supposed to be dark in color. But because it's a non-polluted area and because there is no pollution, because there is no industries, it's before industrialization, you have lichens all over the tree bark, and hence the tree bark is light colored. It looks light colored. Okay. Now comes the butterflies or the moths. Okay, and as I already told you, you have two different types of moths. The first one is the dark winged moth, right, and the second one is the light winged moth or the white winged moth. Okay, I'll just draw it with a slightly different color because I don't want you guys to confuse it. I'm drawing it with a light yellow. Okay, particularly it's white. Okay, because I just want you guys to see it, so I'm drawing it with light yellow. So you have white winged moths as well. It's white, okay guys, the yellow is supposed to be white. You have white winged moths as well. Okay, so this is the condition of the tree bark in London before industrialization. So before industrialization in 1850, there was no pollution, there were a lot of lichens on the tree bark, and this was how the moths would look. So just imagine I am the prey. Okay, I am a bird or something and I want to catch these moths. Okay, let me just I want to catch moths. Okay, I eat moths and I love moths. Okay, I love moths, so I want to catch these moths. That's my main goal. I want to catch these moths. Okay, I want to catch and I want to eat these moths. Fine. So now I'm flying and I'm looking at this tree bark. So which moth would be easy for me to catch? Okay, I'm in a hurry. I just want to catch a moth, eat and go. That's my purpose. So I'm in a hurry and I'm flying, and when I look at this, I can't actually see the white winged moths because the white winged moths are not visible in a white background. So in a white background, the white background is because of the lichens. Okay, so because of the light background, I'm not able to see the white winged moths, but I'm clearly able to see the dark winged or melanized moths. Hence what will happen, as a prey, I'll eat this and I'll eat this and I'll go. Okay, this is what I'll do, right? That's exactly what happened in London during 1850s. The prey, the predator what actually what the predator did was, when the predator flied, the predator could see the dark or melanized moths, and hence they kept eating the dark winged moths. Okay, the predator kept eating the dark winged moths, and as a result the number of dark winged moths reduced and the number of white winged moths increased. This is what happened in 1850. And what did happen in 1920? I'll tell you what happened. In 1920, there were a lot of industries. It's the period after industrialization. So there were a lot of industries. So there were a lot of pollution as well. There was a lot of pollution. And as there was pollution, would there lichens be present? Of course, lichens was not there. Lichens was absent because lichens won't thrive in polluted areas. Lichens won't thrive in polluted areas, and lichens was completely absent. And because of the absence of lichens, the background, okay, was dark. The background was completely dark because there was no lichen, so it was just the tree bark that you're seeing. Okay, so it's just a tree bark that you're seeing. There is no lichen or anything. It's just the tree bark, right? So this is the tree bark that you're seeing. Cool. So this is the tree bark, and of course you have both the white winged moths and the dark winged moths. And these, let me draw it for you. So these are the white winged moths that I'm drawing right now, or the white winged moths. Okay, see, I'm drawing white winged moths. At the same time, I'm also drawing dark winged moths or melanized moths. Okay, these are the melanized moths that I'm drawing right now. See, I'm drawing melanized moths. So again the predator comes. Okay, I'm the predator. Again the predator comes. Predator looks at this, okay, looks at this and looks at the tree bark, and as the predator is in a hurry, the white is clearly visible, but the melanized moths are a bit difficult to see. Hence the predator catches the white winged moths, both of these moths, and the predator flies. Okay, this is exactly what happened in 1920 in London. Okay, in London in England in 1920, what actually happened was the white winged moths were eaten by the predators. Hence the number of white winged winged moths reduced and the number of melanized moths or dark winged moths increased. So this is what took place. This is what actually happened. So that's what I have written over here. I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to read these statements or read these sentences. I want you to read it. Okay, read it completely, because I've clearly explained everything I had to explain, but now I want you to read it and I want you to check if you are understanding all these statements. Okay, so read both these sections. Okay, read both these sections. Did you read it? So one point that you have to also note is that the tree trunks are already dark. I mean, usually the bark of a tree is already dark in color, but because of the industrial soot and smoke, industrial dust and smoke, the bark of the tree became even darker. Okay, that made it even difficult to catch the dark winged moths. Okay, so I hope this is clear for you. So this is what is known as industrial melanism. I'll show you a picture of your NCERT textbook, a much better picture than what I drew. Right. So this is before fertilization that was set in the 1850, and this is after fertilization 1920. You can see this is yellow in color. The background is light, and hence it is lichens. Okay, these are all lichens over here. And the dark wing, it's a bit difficult to catch it. Sorry, the dark wing is easy to catch, and white, it's not that easy to catch the white over here. So the number of dark winged reduced and the white winged increased. Okay, this is just the opposite case. So I hope you understand what industrial melanism is. So I've already told you what industrial melanism is, but let me tell you, how did that help us? I mean, how did that help us in studying evolution? Because I'm just teaching you something, but I'm not telling you how it affects evolution or how it helps us to learn more about evolution. This shows us that environmental factors or changes in the environment can actually result in the decrease of a particular type of species or particular type of variety or particular variety of a particular species. Okay, and it can also result in the increase of the other part, other variety. What I'm trying to tell you is that environment, okay, or the environment that we see or the environment that we live in, actually, or nature in general, has a role in selecting whether the white species should thrive or the dark species should thrive. Okay, so a particular variety gets extinct or is reduced in number when the situations change. Okay, so according to situations, the species that are able to survive the particular situation thrives, and the other one perishes. So that's what actually happens, and this is one thing that Darwin told us, right? Darwin called this natural selection, and if you look at this, it's clearly natural selection, but over here the nature didn't do anything, we humans did, right? But we humans are also a part of nature, right? So we were just a means for this selection to take place. Okay, now moving on. Yeah, this is nothing. I've already told you about pollution indicators. Lichens are in general known as pollution indicators because lichens will never grow in the region of pollution, in the region where pollution persists. Okay, so if we have to analyze whether a region is polluted or not, we can look at the presence of lichens. If lichens are present, the area is not polluted, and if lichens are not there, then there are chances that the area is polluted. Okay, moving on. The fourth section that you have over here is a question: what is adaptive radiation? It's a very small topic, but it's a very important one. Okay, adaptive radiation. What is adaptive radiation? Let's go back with Charles Darwin once again. I told you that Charles Darwin went to an island known as the Galapagos Island. Okay, Galapagos Island was the name of the island that Darwin went to. And in Galapagos Island, he observed few things. Okay, if we were the ones to go into Galapagos Island, we wouldn't observe anything special. Maybe we would just go there, chill in the beach side. We would have some drinks, we would have some fried items, and then we would come back. But Darwin didn't do that. Darwin actually observed the animals over there, and he was really excited, or he was really surprised about one thing. What was it? He saw small black birds Okay, small black birds, and later we named them into Darwin's finches. Okay, I'll tell you why. He saw small black birds and he realized that there were many varieties of finches. Okay, so I'll show you the finch. So this is the Galapagos Island. Okay, it's a very beautiful island. Okay, and it's a very special island also. I mean, if you are interested, I want you to look into Galapagos Island more, because it's said that in Galapagos Island there are many different species that we don't even know about yet. Okay, so Galapagos Island is a really beautiful and really interesting island to learn about, to look about, and this is Darwin's finches. Okay, it's just a brown or black colored bird, and this is later known by the name Darwin's finches. So what did Darwin actually observe? Darwin observed that there were various varieties of finches there. Okay, there were various varieties of finches there in the same island, but he realized that all the varieties evolved on the island itself. That is, no new variety came from outside. Okay, no new variety. I mean, imagine there were 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine there were 4 varieties. All these 4 varieties evolved from the island itself. That is, at the earlier there were only a single variety, 1. But now there are 4 varieties. Okay, there are other 3 varieties as well. So the 2, 3 and 4 arrived from or evolved from this particular variety. Okay, because no variety went out and no variety came in. Okay, so this is what Darwin found out. So how does it help evolution? I'll tell you that. Okay, so what really happened was, the original variety in that particular island was seed eating. Okay, the finches, they used to eat seeds, but later on, as the environment changed, or as the conditions changed, they had to eat other stuff like insects and other vegetations. Okay, so due to that, they evolved. Okay, their beaks, the portion that they have to eat with, that evolved, because in the beginning they were all seed eating, but later on, as the conditions changed, as they had to eat insects and they had to eat vegetables in the sense that small fruits and stuff like that, when they had to eat vegetables, their beaks evolved. I'll show you a picture. I'll show you an NCERT picture. See? So the first one over here was seed eating, but from that particular finch, the beaks started evolving or altering. See, the beak started altering. And why did the beak alter? To adapt with the changing conditions. The conditions were changing. Okay, in some places there were no seeds anymore, there were only insects. So if the finches had to survive, the finches had to eat those insects, and if the finches had to eat those insects, their beak has to be altered. Okay, and this is what Darwin called as adaptive radiation. So what is adaptive radiation? Read with me. The process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and literally radiating to other areas of geography, is called adaptive radiation. So in the beginning, this whole evolution thing happened in that particular Galapagos Island, but later it was spread to different areas, different parts. Okay, so it is a process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, in this case the Galapagos Island, and it was starting from a particular point. Of course, it started from this single finch, right, from the seed-eating finches. So it was starting from a particular point and it was just radiating to other areas, okay, other habitats as well. Not just the island, but other places as well, other continents as well. And this is known as adaptive radiation. Okay, you can see adaptive radiation not just in Darwin's finches, but also in Australian marsupials. Okay, the marsupials that you see in Australia, the Australian marsupials also show adaptive radiation. Okay, I'll show you a picture. See, this is the Australian marsupial, and you have different varieties of marsupials which has arrived from a single variety due to their adaptations or due to their requirements. It's adaptive radiation again. Okay, so I hope you understand what adaptive radiation is, and I hope you understand the examples as well, the Australian marsupials and the Darwin's finches. Okay, that's all about adaptive radiation. It's a very simple topic. Before I conclude this topic, I'll also show another figure, a real life figure of Australian marsupials. Okay, the next topic that we have to study is biological evolution. Okay, it's nothing, it's almost the same topic that we have studied till now. Biological evolution. It's a very simple term and it's a very simple topic. I'll explain it to you, okay, quickly, and you'll understand. It's really simple. So what is biological evolution? I'll tell you what it is. It's also a story. Like industrial melanism, this is also a story. What does the story say? A colony of bacteria A. So A is a particular colony of bacteria. A is a particular bacteria. So a colony of bacteria A was given a particular condition, was given a particular medium, and that bacteria A was growing without any problem. It was happy, it was growing, it had no problems, everything was fine. Okay. What happened next? I changed the medium composition. Okay, I was like, it's so boring. Okay, the bacteria is having a very good life. Let me just change the medium composition. I changed the composition of the medium. I changed some ingredient of the medium. Okay, I changed the medium composition, and due to that change in the medium composition, only some bacteria survived, and those bacteria was named population B. Okay, population B. And if I continue to maintain the changed environment, what will happen? The bacteria A will perish and the population B will expand, right? So in due course of time, the population B outgrowed the population A or any other species, and population B became the majority. Okay, and in the case of a bacteria, this happened within days. So I hope you understood what I'm doing. I'm basically taking a medium, okay, and I'm growing bacteria in it. Okay, I'm growing bacteria in it. So these are bacteria. So I'm growing a particular type of bacteria known as A. Okay, I'm growing a particular type of bacteria known as A in a particular medium. Then what I did was I changed the medium composition. Okay, the same bacteria is living, but I changed the medium composition a little. So what happened was a lot of bacteria died. Okay, a lot of bacteria died. So let me see. This died. This bacteria died. This bacteria died because it was a very new condition, because the medium changed, so the environment of the bacteria changed, so it was a new condition to thrive, but these bacteria couldn't thrive the new condition. All these died. Okay, and there was only some that could actually survive. Okay, there were some those that could survive the new conditions, and so they survived. Okay, these 4 survived, all the others died. So the ones who survived became the majority later on. So I kept this like this. I kept the changed composition for a while. So the ones that died can't relive, right? But the ones that survived actually started spreading. So what is the scenario now? This is how the scenario changed. Okay. So now you have a lot of bacteria. The bacteria is divided to form a lot of bacteria, but all of this is able to survive the new condition. All of this is able to survive the new condition, and hence we call this population B. So this was population A, okay, in which there were it was like a mixture, but the ones that could survive was called the population B, and that population B expanded. So this is the population B actually, okay, and they expanded. So that's what actually happened, and this happened within days. Okay, we can actually do this as an experiment, and we can observe the change within days. Why did I just tell you this? Let me tell you, this happened in a bacteria. Okay, this could have happened in other organisms as well, don't you think? I mean, this could have happened in an aquarium, in a fish aquarium, and yes, if this has to happen in a fish aquarium, it would happen, but it would take about millions of years to happen. Okay, millions of years to happen in a fish aquarium. And if it would have to happen in the whole world, of course it would take billions of years. But can you say that it won't happen? I mean, it's possible in a bacterial colony. Why is it not possible in a human colony? Or why could it not be possible in any other organism? It could be possible, and it did happen. Okay, when conditions changed, the ones that could survive persist, and the others did not persist. Others perished. So this actually happened in almost all organisms. Okay, this is known as natural selection, and nature selects for fitness. This is how biological evolution took place. Okay, so in that case of the bacteria, the fitness of B was better than that of A, and that is exactly why the B thrived and expanded. Okay, So as I already said, fitness is based on characters which are inherited. So in this case, if you look at this particular colony, you have almost the same bacteria in the first stage, right? In the first stage, you had the same bacteria, but some of them had this particular capability to survive, thrive the environment. How did they get that? They had it in their genes, or it was inherited. Okay, they had it in their parents' gene, they got it from their parents would have got it from their grandparents, and they didn't know they had it yet. They didn't know they had it yet. They didn't know they had a particular strength that they would want, but they had it inside them. Okay, and when the conditions were unfavorable, because they had it inside them, because their genes were good, or because their genes were strong that they could fight the conditions, they fought the conditions and they won. But the others, they didn't have that particular gene or particular thing that they would need to survive, and hence they died. Okay, so this, we could say that this fitness is inherited, or it comes by genetics, or it is inherited from their parent generations. Okay, so that is what is known as biological evolution. I hope it's clear. Okay, now let me explain one more topic before I go, one more concept. Yeah, this is nothing but okay, I'll explain this to you as well. Lamarck, okay, Lamarck is actually a French naturalist. Lamarck actually said something that's very interesting. Okay, if you remember, if you recall, Darwin told us that evolution was gradual, right? Darwin told us evolution was gradual, but Lamarck is saying something different. What is Lamarck saying? Lamarck is a French naturalist, and what he said was evolution of life forms had occurred. Obviously, it has occurred. As Darwin said, evolution has taken place, but it was driven by the use and disuse of organs. It was driven by the use and disuse of organs. How did he explain this? He did explain it. This is Lamarck. Okay, so how did he explain it? He explained it with the help of the example of a giraffe. Okay, he said that giraffes, before in the earlier days, giraffes were small. I mean, they had a small neck. Okay, but later on, as they had to reach up to the tree to eat their leaves, their genetic transferred, or their genes transferred, and they developed into an organism with long necks. That's what Lamarck said. So he gave the example of giraffes, who was having short neck before, but in the attempt to take leaves from tall trees, they had to adapt, and for that they elongated their necks. Okay, this did not happen in one day or 2 days. This took millions of years, but that is how the evolution of long-necked giraffes happened, is what Lamarck says. Okay, so this evolution took place, and this particular long neck gene, the gene that's responsible for the long neck, was transferred from generation to generation, through generation to generation, and that is how giraffes have came to have acquired long necks. That's what Lamarck said. But this kind of looks absurd, right? This kind of looks absurd. I mean, I've read somewhere that we humans are not actually using our hands and legs these days, right? I mean, before and all, we used to walk, we used to eat food from trees, we used to catch prey and stuff like that. So we had immense use of our hands and our legs. But right now, we don't use our hands and legs as much, right? So we don't even use our bodies that much. We don't try to catch prey, or we don't do anything of that sort. We don't use our bodies as much, and hence there is a chance that over millions of years we humans turn into dwarfs. There is a chance that humans turn into dwarfs and dwarfism takes place. I mean, we can't actually neglect it. Maybe it may happen. I have no idea. But anyways, if Lamarck is right, if this condition is right, then maybe we could turn into dwarfs in millions of years. Okay. But anyways, it's not our concern right now, because we would not see the next 1 million year, right? Because we would die. Okay, so that was what is known as biological evolution. It was a very simple topic, wasn't it? The next topic that you have to study is the mechanism of evolution, how the evolution is actually taking place. Is it like how Darwin told us? Is it gradual, or is it sudden? Stuff like that. Okay, mechanism of evolution, and also a very, very important topic, which is the Hardy-Weinberg principle. We are almost approaching the end of the chapter. I told you it's not such a big chapter, because we are almost approaching the end of the chapter, and we have a very important topic coming on, which is the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, or the Hardy-Weinberg principle. It's a very important principle as far as evolution is concerned. Okay, but I will not be discussing it in this video. I'll be discussing it in the next video after this topic. topic. So mechanism of evolution is really simple. I'll just explain it to you in a bit in the next video. It's a very small topic, but after that, okay, later on I'll teach you Hardy-Weinberg principle, which is very important, which is a repeated question for all your examinations. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I want you to study everything that I've taken till now, because the convergent evolution, the divergent evolution part, the Darwin's finches, the industrial melanism, all of these are previous year questions. All of these are previous year questions. And homologous organs, analogous organs, you have been asked to differentiate between them. You've been asked to differentiate between convergent and divergent evolution. Okay, you've been asked what industrial melanism is. All the topics that I've taught you in this video are really very important, and in the previous video as well. Okay, I've taught you such great topics with huge importance, and what I'm going to take is another important topic, which is the Hardy-Weinberg principle. Okay, so what I want you to do is study all these topics that I've taken till now, and stay tuned for the next video. Till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.